Fernando Mendoza will be a bust. Now, he is coming out of college, right, into the draft guaranteed with the same exact, last year as Joe Burrow, except with a little bit less impressive stats, but you could also admit Joe Burrow literally had multiple, elite receivers on that team. Imagine having an offense with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Man, I'm telling you this right now. Any quarterback would have been able to succeed with those. But Joe Burrow obviously has proven that he is, when healthy, a good NFL quarterback. But I will have to say his career is going to be very similar to Fernando Mendoza because they're about to get drafted into similar situations, which Joe Burrow gets drafted to the Bengals. They gave him some great weapons and a really awful O-line. And that has been a big reason why he just hasn't been healthy, because many times you check who is the quarterback that gets sacked the most, and it's Joe Burrow. And now in that top list of most sacked quarterbacks, you're about to see Fernando Mendoza, right? And the thing is, going into the Raiders, because it's almost a guarantee that this man will be a Raider because they need a quarterback. You got Tom Brady, you got Mark Davis, you got the whole Raider staff just watching the Natty, because guess what? They're not drafting Carson Beck, they're drafting Fernando Mendoza. And honestly, personality-wise, everything off the field, IQ, everything, he really does fit going to Las Vegas. Las Vegas, there's lots of distractions, lots of, bad stuff. You see Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, one game in Vegas, boom, they're late, and now they're benched for the first drive of the game, right? So not every personality will be able to thrive in Las Vegas. But Fernando Mendoza, the whole story. I don't have to say it. He would absolutely be able to do well there in Vegas. I guarantee you that. Be focused on football, not cause much problems. Sending a guy like Tyreek Hill or, Max Crosby before he got sober, it would have been a problem. But he's very similar to the way Derek Carr basically acts. But Derek Carr highlighted a very big thing about the draft, actually, in an interview, which I have to agree, and it's possibly trading back and, basically solidifying the O-line. O-line is a big thing. And the Raiders have a really bad O-line and a really bad wide receiver room, because there's no way you think Jack Beck and Trey Tucker are going to be, good threats. He went from, you got Joe Burrow coming into T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and you got Fernando Mendoza going in with Trey Tucker and Zach Beck. I will say the tight end room is amazing. The running back has definitely potential. O-line is garbage. Wide receiver room is garbage. So definitely need to fix those two things in order for Mendoza to succeed. But the thing is, honestly, I don't see the Raiders really turning around that O-line in an offseason. No matter who you bring in, it's going to be very difficult because you're going to use your top number one draft pick on that franchise quarterback, which I don't blame. You're in a situation where you probably don't know when's the next time you're going to have this high of a draft pick and this, chance to draft the number one prospect in college football, which at the moment it's Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman winner. It's a no-brainer pick. It's just he's going to be set up to fail, just like Joe Burrow was. Yes, he might have a season which he is competitive, but at the end of the day, this is going to be Fernando Mendoza absolutely fighting for his life, being the most sacked quarterback, and he will definitely be a bust. And it won't be because Fernando Mendoza isn't a great quarterback. It will be because at the end of the day, this is a team sport, and if the team around him is trash, the O-line is trash, the wide receivers is trash, the defense is trash, you got an elite running back, you got an elite tight end, but that's about it. You're not going to succeed. You are going to be fighting for your life, my man. Absolutely. And that's why I'm saying I feel bad for Mendoza. I feel for top quarterbacks because many times they go into a Joe Burrow situation, which means you have a very bad O-line, you have a bad defense, and you have an elite players here and there, but you have to overcome that. And it's going to be tough because the more you get sacked, the more chance of injuries. And that's why Joe Burrow, as of recent, has been getting injured a lot. I'm a Steelers fan, and I'm not blaming Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's not a bad quarterback. It's just you're getting hit so many times, your body can only take it. These old linemen are like 6'4", 280. So at the end of the day, it's their job to protect them. That's like Drake May. He's having an amazing season, and Bo Nix was having an amazing season before injury because they have great O-lines, right? Because Drake May comes into the mix, and then boom, They get Will Campbell in, and boom, they solidify the O-line. And now, what are they? Where are these two teams at? They are in the AFC Championship game because you draft the quarterback and then you absolutely solidify the O-line, and then boom, you are going to make it far into the playoffs, and that's where they're at because they have a franchise quarterback with a good O-line. But I feel as if Fernando Mendoza's career as a Raider, is going to be going like Joe Burrow because as well the Raiders do have a losing culture. At the end of the day, that's the fact, like the Bengals. Those are two losing cultures in modern day football.